Are you feeling totally buried under a mountain of debt? I get it. It's a stressful, really isolating place to be. But you're not alone, and there are actual legal paths forward. So in this explainer, we're going to cut through all the jargon and clearly lay out the three main bankruptcy options, Chapter 7, 11, and 13. Let's dive in and see what each one is all about.
You know, when the bills just keep piling up and the phone calls won't stop, that financial pressure can feel absolutely relentless. It's way more than just numbers on a page, right? It's like this constant weight on your shoulders. So think of this explainer as your clear, no-nonsense guide to the legal solutions that can help you find a way out. Okay, let's get one thing straight right from the get-go. Filing for bankruptcy isn't some kind of personal failure. It's a powerful legal tool, and it's designed to give people and businesses a fresh start when they really, really need it. But, and this is a big but, it is a serious step with long-term consequences, which is exactly why it should always be considered a last resort.
So if bankruptcy is the last resort, what comes before it? Well, let's dive into the alternatives you should always look into before you even think about taking that big step.
You'd actually be surprised. Your creditors might be more willing to negotiate than you think. I mean, they'd rather get something than nothing, right? You can look into options like loan forbearance to maybe pause your payments, or a modification to change the terms. And a nonprofit financial counselor, they can be an amazing ally in this whole process, helping you find solutions that won't damage your credit nearly as much as bankruptcy.
Now, if those alternatives don't work out and you decide you need to move forward, there are a few required steps. First things first, get a qualified attorney. Seriously, this is not a do-it-yourself project. You'll also have to complete some required credit counseling just to make sure you've considered all your options. And finally, you have to get organized and compile a super detailed list of every single debt you owe.
Okay, so here's where things really start to click. All those different bankruptcy chapters you hear about in the news, well, they all boil down to just two fundamental ideas. And if you can grasp this simple distinction, you've basically unlocked the entire system.
And here it is, that fundamental choice in a nutshell. On one side, you have liquidation. This is basically selling off your stuff to pay your debts. That's Chapter 7. On the other side, you have reorganization. This is about creating a payment plan to pay off your debts over a few years. That's what Chapters 11 and 13 are for. So the big question is, do you sell your assets for a totally clean slate, or do you keep your assets and commit to a repayment plan?
All right, let's talk about Chapter 11. I am sure you've heard this one thrown around in the news, usually when some huge, well-known company suddenly announces it's in big financial trouble. But what does it actually mean for them to file Chapter 11? Think of Chapter 11 as a giant pause button. It basically allows a business to keep its doors open, to keep operating, while it gets its finances in order. The company can downsize, cut costs, and come up with a whole new plan to become profitable again, all while being legally protected from its creditors. And Chapter 11 is incredibly flexible. It's not just for massive corporations. Individuals, partnerships, even LLCs can use it. There are no debt limits, no income requirements, which makes it the go-to option for really complex financial situations. But all that flexibility comes at a price. It's also the most expensive and complicated type of bankruptcy to go through. And this just shows you how powerful a tool it can be. So many well-known companies have used Chapter 11 to survive major economic crises, like the 2008 financial crash or the recent pandemic. They've successfully restructured and come out the other side, maybe a bit leaner, but still in business. Okay, so let's bring this down to a more personal level. For most individuals facing financial hardship, the choice really boils down to two options, Chapter 7 or Chapter 13. This is where that decision between liquidation and reorganization really hits home. Chapter 7 is often called the fresh start bankruptcy. A court-appointed person called a trustee will sell your non-exempt assets. That's things like a second car, a boat, or valuable collectibles. Now, some of your property is protected, but the key is, at the end of the process, most of your big unsecured debts are just gone, wiped out. Chapter 13, on the other hand, is known as the wage earners plan for a reason. It's designed for people who have a regular income and assets they really want to protect, like a home they don't want to lose. With Chapter 13, you create a court-approved repayment plan that lasts for 3 to 5 years. You make your payments and you get to keep your property. And this really boils it all down to the essential trade-off, doesn't it? Do you liquidate assets for a clean slate, or do you commit to a repayment plan to keep your assets? That's the absolute core question when you're looking at Chapter 7 versus Chapter 13. But And here's the catch. You don't always get to choose. The court uses something called a means test. Basically, if your income is above your state's median for a family your size, the court might say, hey, you can afford to repay some of your debt. And if that happens, Chapter 13 might be your only real option.
Okay, let's pull it all together now. We're going to do a side-by-side comparison of these 3 chapters, because this is where the key differences really pop. This chart just lays it all out so clearly. You can see Chapter 7 is really for individuals who need that complete reset. Chapter 13 is for individuals who have an income and want to protect their house and car. And then you have Chapter 11, that's the powerful but super complex option for businesses and even some individuals who need to restructure everything without the limits of the other chapters. So, filing for bankruptcy is not the end of your financial story, not by a long shot. It's really the beginning of a new one. But this new chapter comes with a pretty big challenge, rebuilding your credit.
And this really, really matters, because a bankruptcy filing will basically take a sledgehammer to your credit score. For years, it can make it tough to get a car loan, a mortgage, or even just a simple credit card.
So, how long are we talking? Well, for a Chapter 7 bankruptcy, that's the liquidation one, that filing will stay on your credit report for a full decade. 10 years.
Now, with a Chapter 13, because you're actually committing to repaying your debts, the impact is a little bit shorter. It stays on your credit report for 7 years from the day you file. But listen, it is not a life sentence. Rebuilding your credit is absolutely possible. The negative hit from the bankruptcy will fade over time. The key is to start taking small, responsible steps right away. Get a secured credit card, make every single payment on time, and you'll slowly start to build a new, positive credit history.
So there you have it. Bankruptcy offers a legal path out from under overwhelming debt, a real chance for a fresh start. We've laid out the basics of your options, but the most important takeaway is this. This is a complex, life-altering decision. The only way to know the right path for your unique situation is to talk to a qualified professional. Take that first step. Get the expert advice you need to regain control of your financial future.